joins me in the studio with more on this. So, first of all, let's detail which documentation that we've secured. I see the cargo manifest. You have the bill of lading.
Certificate of quantity, and I have the bill of lading.
Yes, okay. So let's go through that. Do we know who the shipper of the crude is?
Yes, we know. We know that the shipper is Bellatrix Energy Limited. So the address is Central Hong Kong. That's where the shipper is.
Okay, and that's an important one. And then yesterday, when we got information, we were asking the question. So, who or which entity brought the cargo in? We knew the entity, but we decided to withhold the name.
Sure.
But now we have official documentation. So, can we confirm which entity brought the cargo in?
So it's same as we knew yesterday, but decided not to mention it because we wanted to cross-check certain things. It's Platin Gas Oil Gun Limited, and it's at the heavy industrial area, Tema, Ghana. That's where they are, and that's the company, the name of the company that brought in this product, Platin Gas.
On the eastern shore of the Caspian Sea, and it's one of those areas very well known for its transportation, but also very importantly is its port activity. And at one point it was once the site of a nuclear power plant.
Okay.
But has international airport as well. But in that particular part of Kazakhstan, the increasing importance of Akhtar's port with changes in international export policy, it has now been attempting to halt the transit of grain, and we know that grain has become a key issue. Even the U.S. says Africans can do trade with Russia when it comes to grains. But they've been attempting to halt the transit of grain through the Black Sea, and instead use routes over the Caspian or via Turkmenistan. Now, Akhtar's port has been expanding, though, and that's why many ships find it to be a very conducive place to load cargo. So we know now
because this vessel will be very big,
and
it depends on the depth.
So that's what we know. So that's a very important information, that the port of loading is Akhtar, Kazakhstan. There are many who saw the Bloomberg story and thought that the port of loading was Russia. I mean, this confirms it was in Kazakhstan.
Sure.
Indeed. And for me, it's important to also authenticate this story. If you're looking at the shipping documentation, you're looking at, has it got a formal stamp? Is it signed? Has it got a captain? Who is the captain? What do we know about that?
So it's formally signed by the officials. It has the official stamp on it, and then the name of the captain is Captain Rakesh Ganesh Guma. That's the name of the captain. Captain Rakesh Ganesh Guma. That's the name of the captain. And it's dated. We need to bring it.
The date is important.
That the date is dated 25th January 2023.
So which means that this ship has been on the seas for well over a month.
Yes, okay. Over a month.
Did he make a declaration?
He did. He says that I, the undersigned Captain Rakesh Ganesh Kumar, the master of MT Theseus, certified to have received from Aktau, Kazakhstan, the following document in connection with the shipment of the fuel that it's bringing.
Which documents are these?
So it says that it comes with a bill of lading, giving the name of the consignee, the name of the shipper, as we've mentioned, Bellatrix Energy Limited being the shipper, which is located on 1 on Hink Terrace, Central Hong Kong. Platin Gas Oil Ghana Limited being the consignee, located in heavy industrial area Tema, Ghana. The port of lading is Aktau, Kazakhstan. The vessel is MT Theseus, and those are it. Now, when it comes to other document that the captain says it received, we have bill of lading, we have cargo manifest, certificate of quantity, certificate of quality, and then the crew list and master's receipt, all dated 25th January 2023. And it has the stamp of the Theseus, vessel.
And I have the cargo manifest in front of me that details the cargo it was carrying. The cargo, there's crude oil, and the specifics is 79,804 metric tons, and in cubic meters, We're talking about 94,075 cubic meters of product, and it says clean on board, which means that it was received in good condition when it came in. And talking about that, we also have a copy. Yesterday we reported that Tama Oil Refinery was expected to take delivery of this. Well, the sources at the MPA insist that because of the issues around this, the the crude oil in this vessel, they've not discharged it yet.
Okay.
And we have a copy of the Tama Oil Refinery. And yesterday we also said that there was a
QC. That's a quality control person.
Yes. That our checks with TOR had indicated that an internal notice that was sent to the TOR staff to alert them that the cargo has arrived, also told them that a quality control officer was already on board assessing the product. And indeed, we have a copy of this document, the quality control certificate of analysis, an official document signed by the quality control manager at the Tama Oil Refinery, who looked into this. And the dates are interesting. So the samples were taken on the 24th of February, which is Friday. Then they analyzed the samples on Saturday.
Okay.
The
following day.
On Saturday, and the purpose was import. It's stated on the face of the document, and the client is Platon Gas Oil Ghana Limited. So as of Sunday, they finished with the analysis. As of Saturday, they finished with analysis. I mean, so the ship would have sat at the Tema Harbor for Sunday after those analysis, because it came on Friday, right? So Sunday, that was yesterday, was Tuesday, and then Monday. The MP officials will tell us that they haven't discharged the product yet.
It's still in there.
They insist that it's still in there. So that's what we have, confirming that yes, this cargo is here
in Ghana.
But the port of loading, which appears to be one of the key things that has come up.
Bloomberg, because it says that from its tracking data.
Yes, I mean, tracking data shows that it come from the Black Sea.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us the exact port, but now the port of loading has been indicated as Kazakhstan, and we told you about that particular city in Kazakhstan where it came from, Aktau. So that's what we know so far, and then many of you have been asking a lot of questions. We've been trying to get the answers for you. I want to bring in a man who has been following this very closely as well, Nanam Moisi, who is he heads the Institute for Energy Security. He himself and his agency, they've been looking at this and tracking also. Thank you very much, Nana, for your time here on Top Story. Great. Pardon me, I seem to have a challenge. Can you see if you could reposition yourself again, Nana?
Is it okay, Ivan?
It is great. Yes, it is. Now we know the port of loading, that it is Aktau in Kazakhstan. Yesterday you had dug into this already, and had told us quite a bit on radio about this particular product. Now that we have all these documentations, the TOR analysis, its port of loading, I wonder what else you read into all this. Does it settle that controversy around the origin? That's a key point, and also where the crude was coming from.
All right, Ivan. Yesterday, you will appreciate that the IES didn't say that the crude came from Russia. We were only following the Bloomberg's report, which said that the crude is coming from Russia, and so we start tailing it, and also the sequence of events in Ghana. And we were clear when we spoke to you yesterday. We made it clear to you that the cargo has not been discharged. It is true the cargo has not been discharged. We got the indication this morning that the cargo is coming from Kazakhstan. And our team and partners outside the country are still trying to ascertain the veracity of this claim. You can have a bill of lading in your hand, but then you have to verify and authenticate it, because every day you can find many bills of lading flying around, of which many end up to be false. a false document. And so we are trying to confirm that. That is one. Number two, even the country that's been named now, it's very close to Russia. So our team is trying to look at the pipeline connection or any form of transmission connection between the two countries. Could it be that the product is for Russia, pumped to Kazakhstan, so that a vessel can load? These are very important things that we should not miss. So we are looking at it. If it's confirmed that the product comes from Russia, then, of course, we'll ask the president to send it away. Because if you look at the president's posture, it does signal clearly that we don't align to Russia or any element around Russia. We don't patronize them. And so if it ends up that the cargo is coming from Russia, then on grounds of principles and for consistency, it must be sent away. But if it ends up coming from Kazakhstan, we still have issues and questions that need to be answered. The last time the Bloomberg reporter spoke to the MPA boss and raised the signal, it was clear that they are not expecting a cargo. Should it come from Russia, they will send it off. They also mentioned the role of the MPA planning team, where they, as part of their responsibilities, they developed LACAN. These are windows of opportunities prepared in advance to receive cargoes. So you know that this quarter, this first quarter, between this period and this day, we are receiving, we are expecting diesel or petrol or crude oil. The MPA boss couldn't state clearly that we are not expecting any crude oil vessel from Russia. We are rather expecting it from Kazakhstan. And true, a cargo needs to come within this window, and the importer or the receiver will be Platon Gas Oil Limited. And so you see that if we have to receive this cargo, then it's being received on best effort basis, but not planned cargo to be received. The next thing is the size of the cargo, Ivan. If you look at last year, what Platon distributed to the Ghanaian market was only 2,839 metric tons of residual fuel oil and diesel combined. That gives it 0.07% of the market share for last year. Because last year, the country consumed 4.22 million metric tons. So this is the size of Platon. To receive 80,000 metric tons of cargo, it's way beyond their size. It's never happened before. The biggest parcel we have cited for Platon is less than 10,000 metric tons since it was established. The next thing we find is that if this cargo is received into core tanks, it will become an arrangement where Platon will be bringing crude oil for Tor to refine on tolling basis. And so clarity, transparency is very important this time, so that the Ghanaians can assure themselves that the new arrangement that we envisage will have value for money. We are certain that this is an extension of government go to oil program. And so government must come clear on this.
At least for now, because the cargo, in essence and in reality, practically has still been detained now because it still hasn't been discharged. Although we now have evidence that the Tamale refinery analysis have already been done, quality control certificate of analysis have already been done. The MPA, as we know now, you confirm that they yet to give authorization for his discharge. That tells me that this has been looked into, because of course we know the port of loading to be Kazakhstan. That definitely should give some cause I guess for some slight comfort, because the authorities are looking into this before they discharge it into the tanks. That then will make it even more complicated once that is done.
Even not at all. You see, it's intriguing that when the planner of Lakan, the MPA, has not captured clearly that we're expecting a cargo from this source, and the cargo arrives, and you get state actors like Tor quickly go aboard the vessel and take sample. When it's not part of Lakan, it becomes quite questionable. Is it that this was planned on the blind side of the MPA? So we should be careful. It arrived Friday night, quickly same evening, sample was taken. Analysis was conducted on Saturday. Every personality, every state institution or private institution under the downstream petroleum sector must begin to abide by the tenets and plans and the rules of engagement that the MPA regulates and monitors. We cannot be doing things arbitrarily. Now we know that, yes, MPA has not given the clearance. Pre-briefing meeting is yet to be, held. So we are monitoring the space. I'm sure this is still a developing story, like you mentioned yesterday. We can only wait.
Nana, thank you very much. Nana Moisi is with the Institute for Energy Securities, and you can details of this on myjoyonline.com also. And now that we know the port of origin for this particular crude that came in, and authorities have confirmed that ship is actually here, but they haven't given authorization yet for it to discharge its cargo. Still here on Top Story on Joy 99.7 FM. Another major story we are following for you today. There was initially disappointment in government circles when officials of the finance ministry were forced to postpone a critical meeting to China to negotiate a debt relief. But in the last couple of days, government appears to have caught a break. Top officials of the Chinese Exim Bank flew into town over the weekend for showdown talks over Ghana's indebtedness to China. Ghana owes China $1.7 billion. And without a deal between government and China, Ghana will struggle and will be unable to access the critically needed $3.3 billion bailout from IMF. Now, Ghana's Western creditors have made it clear they will not help if Ghana cannot strike a deal with China. Here's the German ambassador to Ghana, Daniel Crude, speaking at a news conference last week.
We agreed on terms. And if we allow China to sideline this process, then it's the end of the common framework, because it's not common anymore. And yes, it's about fairness in the process. So if we are willing to delay the debt payment from Ghana, what is Ghana using this fiscal space for? And we would consider it as unfair if that would be used to serve the debt to someone who is not willing to be part of the aid package for Ghana. We would think that is not fair, and I think that is also not in the interest of Ghana. So it's not about it's less about fear; it's more about fairness. At this point of time, it is really the question on how to convince, particular China, to come to the table. That is the key question right now. Because all the others, I mean, the Paris Club members have agreed; they are ready. But again, they are not willing to lower their request to Ghana, and with this financing the debts of China. I mean, that must be understandable for everybody. So we are ready to negotiate, but only if all the other creditors are willing, are taking up their responsibility in the same way.
Well, President Akufo-Addo has, in the last 24 hours, been meeting representatives of the diplomatic community in Ghana, and he did not mince words, asking for their help with the Chinese negotiations. He, however, failed to address the key conditions the German ambassador had laid out, including a reduction in government expenditure.
We acknowledge the reality of the fact that our economy is in considerable difficulty. The budget drawn for the 2022 fiscal year was thrown out of gear, disrupting our balance of payments and debt sustainability, and further exposing the structural weaknesses of our economy. We have gone to the International Monetary Fund to repair in the short term our public finances and restore our balance of payments, while we continue to work on the medium to long-term structural changes that are at the heart of our goal of constructing a resilient, robust Ghanaian economy. Just as we managed to achieve a staff-level agreement with the fund in record time in December last year, whose terms we are systematically fulfilling, including the difficult but ultimately highly successful process of the domestic debt exchange program. I'm confident that with the cooperation we are receiving from members of the Paris Club and the People's Republic of China, which has sent a delegation from China's Exim Bank to Accra over the weekend to meet with officials of the Ministry of Finance, we shall be able to go to the board of the fund to conclude finally the agreement by the end of March. This will set the stage for the strong recovery of Ghana's economy. Needless to say, we would hope that all Ghana's friends would weigh in with words of support at the fund.
And we've learned today that the top Chinese Exim Bank officials have had another round of critical talks with the government and the Financial Ministry officials today. We have more on this on Newsnight in a minute.
One Ghana, pit, just one Ghana, Vodafone, one Ghana promo.
Yo, bro, I beg, make you give me correct shock absorber. Or make I do video concept, then take the Gaussian P for the engine show you.
Hey, yawa humache. Every morning you the tear calls, they browse. Actually, something they there.
Hey, Tago, the way town make hot. I grow best one if you no po. If it be you where you get Vodafone one Ghana promo them out. 20 minutes talk time to call all networks. Where you start get data and 1 gig from 5 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Bang. Anka you go do pass me safe, Ankasa. You dial *530# hash. Make we enjoy. You go fit subscribe as many times as you want.
Yes, plantain chips.
Yo, sweet Ama, take this by Vodafone one Ghana bundle. Moku vibe plus video calls and taste. You catch the vibe. Early morning, 5 a.m. sharp.
Vodafone, further together.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key. But there's one key that rules them all. The house key. The key to a place we call home. The key to the home where everything comes together. The key to a home that is our own. A home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. In the next 60 minutes, disturbing details of how staff of Lands Commission manipulated its software system to steal millions of cedis meant for the Ghana Revenue Authority. We'll tell you more as the management of the system has been handed over to a private firm.
Move that platform to a firm, to move the management of the platform to a firm to manage it for us. So that would help us to safeguard, some of these more practices. But that is in the interim.
The police is meanwhile on a hunt for 5 others said to have evaded arrest. Also tonight, mothers are turned away from vaccination clinics over shortage of essential vaccination drugs. Other at the Braka Polyclinic, for instance, as Health Ministry races against time to stock hospitals.
It worries me a lot because the first day we came, they said there's another. Then 1 month time we came, they said there's a shortage.
Almost polio neni ho. Say idea ebenya wo drugstore. No mo ka chen so ebi ni ha. Omo nya bi nti ye ko drugstore ebenya bi ebe kwa koto.
We'll get to hear from some mothers on this. Also, minority in parliament declared they do not trust assurances given by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to release funds to NIA to register more Ghanaians as controversy over the new ECI lingers on.
I don't know if you trust the finance minister, but I don't. I don't think 0.1% of Ghanaians trust him. Today is the 1st of March. We have not been paid yet. Most Ghanaian workers are calling us saying that they have not been paid. So you don't even have the money to pay salaries. MPs, we've not been paid.
And in business, President Akufo-Addo remains firmly optimistic of hitting the March-ending target for securing an IMF board approval for Ghana, despite concerns being raised by some of his external creditors.
And in sports, we track the 10 youth resource centers that have become Bush resource centers.
Barely a year later, this is the state of it. Abandoned and left to become a breeding ground for all kinds of reptiles. The Azuma Nelson Sports Complex is not befitting of the legend it's named after.
And we'll hear from the sports minister, who has been assuring Parliament that that facility will be completed before end of year.
And much later.
We will go to court within the stipulated time. The legal team is at work already, and you'll get more details from His Excellency Peter Obi when he speaks. We are going to keep the struggle alive.
Peter Obi's opposition Labour Party set to mount a legal challenge against the presidential election victory of Bola Tinubu as he officially receives his winner's certificate at a ceremony in the capital, Abuja.
I know many did not vote for me, and you are disappointed that your candidate is not where I stand now. I understand. You hurt, your anger, disappointment. I extend the embrace and comfort of one family member to another.
That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Do well to join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp is 055-1111-997. You're watching live on Facebook. You can leave your comments there as well. We're also live on myjoyonline.com interactive app. I am Emefa Apau.
And my name is Evans Mensah. And we start tonight with details coming in from authorities investigating alleged fraud at the Lands Commission, and it's disturbing details really emerging regarding how staff of the Lands Commission managed to manipulate its software system to steal millions of cedis, which was to be paid to the Ghana Revenue Authority. The Lands Commission says it has handed over management of the software system to a firm to secure it while investigations continue. 16 of the 21-member gang fingered for the theft are employees of the commission and have already been slapped with charges of stealing and money laundering at an Accra High Court. Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, James Datson, has been speaking on the matter at the news conference today.
It got to a point where this was elevated to the level of the NIB. And so the NIB also continued with their investigations, and 21 persons, including 16 of our staff, were interrogated by the NIB. They were picked up from the office and their various locations. We are told that 5 they are people who collaborated or are alleged to have collaborated with our staff to engage in this practice. Now, the matter is before the court now, and the court proceedings have commenced, and that's the reason why I believe some of you may have uncovered this unfortunate incident. We, on our part, as our part of the Commission's processes in situations like this, when it gets to the point where we have sufficient information to place a staff on interdiction, we do that. And that is the point where we've gotten to at the moment. Thank you. Not all of them, it's a process. So once we've dealt with a particular case and it merits interdiction, we will effect that accordingly. And so currently, not all of them are on interdiction. Currently, we are at 10, but the others are also. As I said, even the investigations are still ongoing, so we were advised not to go too public with it, So, but because the matter is in court, and there's very little we can do because it's already in the public domain.
He also gave details of how the accused officers manipulated the software.
We are still investigating. I know the matter is before the NIB, and they are also investigating. So we cannot put a figure to how much is involved because it is still evolving. The software, I must say that we developed that software in-house. The Enterprise Land Information System was developed in-house, and we've used it, in our processes, and it's been quite effective. Now, what we've done after we discovered this is to move that platform to a firm to move the management of the platform to a firm to manage it for us. So that would help us to safeguard, some of these more practices. But that is in the interim. In the long term, what we intend to do as part of the land reform project that we're doing at the Lands Commission is to change the entire software. Currently, we're operating on an open source software platform, but we want to move it to a proprietary software platform when we start the land reform project. So that is in the long term. But in the interim, we've moved the platform to a firm who is managing it for us now. So it's not the in-house team that is managing it. Management, with respect to public education, what we've done is immediately we came out with, let me say, a criteria, within which applicants should request for services with the Lands Commission, and the fact that when you come to the Lands Commission, you should deal with officers of the Lands Commission and not with, others, as it were, guru boys who may, lead you astray. So we have that information pasted all over our compound now. We used to have it, but then we reinforced it. So if you go around all our offices, you will see this notice clearly pasted there, and informing officers about they dealing with the officials of the Lands Commission. Also, with our staff, what we've done is to do an official circular to our staff, explaining what has actually happened and the fact that staff will have to, be very meticulous in what they do when it comes to dealing with applicants, when it comes to payment, and then also processing of documents within the commission. So this is the information we've put out there, and we expect that our staff and then the public should conform to it.
Well, so that's the Deputy Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, James Datsin there. My colleague, Joseph Akable, has been monitoring this particular story for us. He joins us on the line with further details. Joseph, let's first get to these 21 individuals alleged to be behind the scheme. What do we know about them?
5 of them are at large. In terms of the 16 that have been apprehended, 9 of them are staff of the Lands Commission. There's one individual who is an accountant at the Arieli Company Limited. There's another who is a staff of the First National Bank. Another individual who is the CEO of the Air States Company Limited. There's another one who is also a staff of the local government, a businessman, a clearing agent, another staff of the Tema Development Company, TDC. And so those are the details that we know in terms of where these individuals work.
We'll talk about the level of staff involvement in all this, and we know it's at various levels. But when we talk about Lands Commission and this particular expose, people were wondering if it's about land documentation amongst others. But give us a sense of how come it's about GRA payments amongst others, per the understanding that you've been giving.
And so what these individuals are said to have engaged in is that they posed as individuals who were coming to pay stamp duties with draft checks at the Lands Commission. And so they came with a draft checks ranging from face value from 20,000 cedis to 2.3 million cedis. Now, without giving the check to any official at the Lands Commission, they simply managed to manipulate the software with the assistance of the individuals who are part of the gang who work within the Lands Commission to create the impression that the checks have been presented to the Lands Commission and the stamp duties have been effected, payments have been effected, and they have gotten evidence of that payment. And so they now picked this draft check, which they did not present at all, and sent it over and now used it to pay for import duties of individuals who were importing items into the country with the assistance of the clearing agents, some of whom are part of this particular gang. And so once they make the payments for you, then they take your cash from you. And so in simple terms, they've taken draft checks claiming to be paying for stamp duties at the Lands Commission, which will be advanced to GRA. They don't present it, but they manage to get evidence of payment. Then they proceed to use the same check to effect payment for you at the port and now take your money. And so they make money without really giving any money to the state, but having evidence of suggesting that they have made some payments to the state. Now we are told that from court documents that we have cited, an amount of 100 million cedis is what is estimated to have been lost as a result of the face value, the checks that they have been transacting this business with. The NIB has managed to retrieve an amount of 2.8 million cedis in the course of its investigation. We are told that a greater chunk of the money has been used by these individuals to acquire houses in the Greater Accra region and Central region. Some have also used them to buy cars which they are driving. And so the NIB is still investigating the matter, and charges have been filed against the 16 people who have been arrested.
Well, 2.8 million out of the 100 million. Well, that's a drop. But I'm sure you've been finding out from the Lands Commission if indeed this is a 100 million situation that we are faced with, or there's more.
as far as the Lands Commission tells us, they say that the investigation is still ongoing because this is what they've been able to detect for the last 3 years. And so there's a possibility that it could be more. But for those that have been arraigned, they put the figure in terms of the values of the checks and what they transacted the business with as 100 million cedis. That ordinarily, if a genuine business had been transacted, should be coming to the Ghana Revenue Authority as revenue to the state, but has been lost, and they said it dissipated in terms of acquisition of houses and cars.
Well, now I hear you say this, they've been at this for the past 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, and let's talk about the staff level involvement in this.
The Lands Commission tells us that it's at all levels. So there are very junior staff, there are mid-level staff, and there are those who are also at the very top level. Now, out of the 16, they said the internal investigations have gotten to the level where decision has been taken to interdict 10 of the 16. And so it means that for the next 6 months, those 10 will be on half salary, and the other 6 investigations are still ongoing. If they get to the level where the rules of conduct allows them to interdict those ones, that decision will be taken as well. The National Intelligence Bureau, on the other hand, is working around the clock to try and effect the arrest of the other 5 who are at large, while the internal investigations also continues to identify other individuals who may be part of this ring.
Thank you very much. That's Joseph Akable monitoring this particular situation at the Lands Commission for us. Of course, we'll be monitoring it and bring you more subsequently.
You're still live on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. If you are a mother, but for the thousands of mothers with babies 0 to 18 months, this next news item will worry you a great deal, because we are learning that vaccine shortage that has hit the country is yet to abate. 2 crucial vaccines for babies have been unavailable at the Adabraka Polyclinic Vaccination Center for close to a month, leaving many babies without shots. Now, the Ghana Health Service has confirmed that they have 3 traditional vaccines that have run out completely across the country. This is the polio vaccine, the BCG vaccine, and the measles rubella vaccine as well.
Okay.
Now, the shortage of the vaccines has a potential to increase vulnerability of children to the diseases the vaccines seek to protect them against, and no polio is a devastating one, measles as well,
and
devastating. The confirmation by the Ghana Health Service that it's simply out of stock across the country. We know that the health minister has been the subject of summons by Parliament for a while. Yesterday, he failed to show up, and we know the minority guys were left very, very upset by his absence. We'll try and check today what happened, whether he came or not. But mothers who had come, particularly to the Adabraka Polyclinic, with their babies to be vaccinated, were turned away to come later when the shots were available. My colleague Mamisi Thompson was there earlier and spoke to some mothers. There's more in the following report.
After a month, nursing mother Florence Kwabla is back to the vaccination center at the Adabraka Polyclinic with her baby girl, Gladys. Florence is here to get Gladys' weight checked and her vaccination shot. She recorded a healthy weight. However, the oral polio vaccine due her is still not available for her baby. The last time she was here, she was told it was finished.
With the polio worries me a lot, because the first day we came, they said there's another. Then 1 month time we came, they said there's a shortage. So I asked them, is there any available at any? But they said there's still shortage at some of the polyclinics and hospitals.
Another worried mother is Gifty Odonko. Her 4-month-old baby Inshira has also not received the polio and the rotavirus vaccines. She wants government to quickly restock.
I'm
told there is no polio vaccine, so we'd have to return without the shot. It could expose her to diseases. I hope we can get it at the pharmacy to protect her.
Munya bi inti ye kodra store ebenya bi ebekwa akoto. Person ebeya meba no onya yariboni bia.
Parliament's Health Committee took a strong stand to deal with shortages across the country. Committee Chair Dr. Efriye Ayu agrees that no child should be exempt from vaccination.
We are concerned because every life matters. And just as many of us here feel our sustainability has more been because of the vaccines we had at childbirth. We cannot deprive any Ghanaian that opportunity to live. And the absence of vaccines in the committee's thinking is inexcusable or unpardonable.
Well, the Ghana Health Service Director, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, has assured stores will be replenished in 2 weeks.
So that's the situation here at the Adabraka Polyclinic. MFA, you are a mother. I gave you the list of the vaccines affected.
I know that at birth, that's when you're supposed to get the BCG, at least from the weighing card that I have of my children. You get it 3 times. And the first one, which is the BCG, has to be at birth. So if it's emerging that now babies cannot get it, especially even at the Adabraka Polyclinic, and that's not the only place that we've been to. We're told it was a nationwide situation. So how are we coping? What exactly will be the effect on these children? What's the period that they're supposed to get it? And if they are not getting it, what happens? Because we know the devastating effects of polio, for instance, amongst others. But let's bring in a doctor and then find
let's
out
speak
more.
to Dr. Thomas Anaba. Is a doctor with expertise in emergency and critical care. Joins us on the line on this. Doc, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. So, from the official Ghana Health Service own admission on the issue, they named 3 vaccines that are in facing complete shortage across the country: a polio vaccine, the BCG, measles, rubella vaccines. How important are these vaccines if you have a baby?
Good evening to you and good evening to your cherished listeners. These vaccines are very important simply because they are very infectious, they transmit very easily, and have serious repercussions when children do not get them. For instance, the BCG is the vaccine we give to children at birth to prevent them from getting tuberculosis. You know what tuberculosis does? Tuberculosis can attack the child's lungs, which are yet to mature, attack the spine, attack the gut. If it attacks the lungs, it can destroy the child's lungs and he will not have a healthy lung forever. If it attacks the spine can be deformed because the vertebral column can be deformed and it can become disabled forever. The other vaccine, which is polio, we know what polio does. Infectious, it attacks the nervous system. And when it attacks the nervous system, it can leave you paralytic. So you have a sequela like being disabled and you cannot move some of your limbs. It can even lead to death. So this is something very important that we need to get for our children. For measles and rubella and the rest, yes, they can cause serious skin damages, serious lung problems, and cause retarded growth in children. So I think that these vaccines are very important for our kids. And the better we get them, the best for Ghana.
So from what you say, this is very serious, particularly for MFA. You mentioned it, and he just confirmed that at birth, the tuberculosis. And you've just laid out the implication. So as we have it now, we don't have a clear timeline yet. The Ghana Health Service says they're expecting this to be dealt with in the next quarter or so. We're going to get some clarity on this. But for mothers like those we just spoke to at the Adabraka Polyclinic who had gone and been turned away, do they have any other alternatives?
There is no any other alternative. Vaccines are controlled by WHO and government institutions, Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health. Most of them are stored at particular temperatures in particular environments that cannot be stored in ordinary pharmacies. No one can trade with vaccines except for perhaps hepatitis and the rest. But BCG, polio, diphtheria, and then the rest, it is only government institutions, government that can control it. So it is very unfortunate that we have run short of this. So sad that we should run short of something that we can plan even 4 years ahead. Because once you know the population growth, you know the birth rate in the country, you should know what to store for every year for your population to get the needed vaccines to prevent preventable diseases that have very much devastating effect on children. So I don't understand why we should say we couldn't get the vaccines. Not that the Ukraine war, as they say, or the coronavirus has come to stop their vaccine production. They are being produced. It's just for government to get the needed funds to buy these vaccines. I can tell you a fact. The money we get from NHI levy alone, we can buy all vaccines in Ghana without blinking an eye. How much of that money is given to Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, to run its activities? Less than 50%. So why should we buy diseases for ourselves when we have a solution to prevent those diseases? To some of it.
But there are some mothers who are wondering, at least those who've given birth. We know it's established that BCG, for instance, they need to get it at birth. How long can these children go without getting these vaccines, and what can happen?
It is best given at birth because it will protect you, because, you know, the tetanus parasite flies 1 meter high. And all children in Ghana, majority of them lie there. Even if you have a bed for the child, it will be 1 meter low. So they can easily acquire tuberculosis. Tetanus likewise.
Dr. Anaba, we're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. And so we know how serious the situation is. And if we have babies in the system, they are not getting this shot. And we know the impact now. But Parliament, like you said, they've been raising the issue, demanding the Ministry of Health to account. We are told for some more than 71 million Ghana cedis paid by the NHIA for essential vaccines after they appeared before the committee late Tuesday evening. Let's bring in the National Health Insurance Authority, the Acting Corporate Affairs Director, Oswald Mensah, joins us on the line. Oswald, so have these monies been released for these vaccines? Please confirm to us.
Hi, good evening, MFR, and good evening to our listeners. Yes, certainly the money that was appropriated for this particular line item under the 2022 fiscal year has indeed been paid to the Ministry of Health.
It's been paid to the Ministry of Health. When exactly? I'm sure you can give us the timelines, because we are now hearing that we haven't been able to get these essential vaccines. I'm sure as the NHIA you've heard as well. So what really could go wrong? What really has happened? For which reason we do not have these essential vaccines?
Well, from the NHIA standpoint, let's understand that we are just payees or payers in the architecture of this vaccines procurement. So once we have made payments available to the ministry, I guess it will be difficult for me to explain why the vaccines have not been supplied. But as I said, of course, you know that our budgets go through Parliament around the same time, which is always around February, March. And once it gets approved, we wait for instructions from the Ministry of Health to release this funding. And this funding, as a matter of fact, goes to the UNICEF. There's a program which this falls under Government of Ghana's co-funding obligations, to purchase these drugs and devices and other commodities. So it comes under the Gavi arrangement. So these payments are actually released to the UNICEF, and between UNICEF and the Ministry of Health would make sure that the procurement of these vaccines are available. I can tell you that we did payments in June, October, November last year, and I think the last tranche must have been paid in January 2023 for that component and support to the Ministry of Health.
This is June all the way to October last year, like you talk about. Do you remember how much exactly has been released for this line item?
That the whole line item has been released. I think we're talking something in the range of between 71 and 72 million as have been appropriated.
Yes, so am I talking to Evans?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Evans, we invited the health minister together with the National Health Insurance Authority. But during our first meeting, the minister couldn't make it. And so we gave an ultimatum that the minister or his deputies appear before us in 2 hours later. So 2 hours later, they appeared. So we put a question to them. But by then, we had met the National Health Insurance Authority, and we pulled a copy of our formula, the National Health Insurance Fund Allocation Formula 2022. And we realized that an amount of about 72 million Ghana cedis had been allocated to the procurement of vaccines. So when they came, we put it to them why the shortage in the system. Evans, without boring you with much words, the reason is simply that we are defaulting. We are not paying. There is an arrears. There are two main groups of vaccines. We have Gavi co-payment sponsored one, and we have the traditional one. Now, as I speak to you, we owe them. And so we have not been able to pay. When we push further, that why couldn't they pay because the National Health Insurance Authority had made the releases, the answer they gave us was that at the time, there was steep depreciation of the CD. And that was where I got angry. Because you cannot cite the depreciation of the CD for a reason why innocent and vulnerable children should die. Don't forget that these vaccines are not medications that they can buy over the counter. And therefore, even if you have money, you can't go to any pharmacy shop and procure the vaccines yourself. And these are vaccines for the 6 killer diseases. And I remember the last time we recorded any death in any of these, 6 killer diseases were somewhere 2003. So we had struggled to virtually eliminate these things in our system. Evans, the most disheartening aspect is that we had the outbreak of measles somewhere last year in October. And we have looked on, and the thing is spreading. It is now in the Zonga-Hafo region. I hear it's now in Volta region, and it's spreading down. So we asked them that the reasons they have provided us before the committee are untenable. And so they should go back and appear before the committee and come and give us some convincing words to assure us that indeed we are getting the vaccines within the shortest possible time. So we didn't accept that reason.
So what do you intend to do now with what you've heard?
So with what we heard, there's no hope. So we have told them that, look, they should come back with their minister, and we asked them when they can do that, because it's an emergency issue. They should come back, and they said they can come back on the 7th of March. So we are meeting them on the 7th of March to listen to them. And don't forget that I've heard the Director General for Ghana Health Service speaking all over, saying that within 1 week or 2 weeks, they will take, delivery of some vaccines. So we are waiting. So on the 7th, we are meeting them. And by then, I know that his 2 weeks will have elapsed.
Mr. Kano, thank you very much. He's a ranking on the Health Committee in Parliament. We are examining this in some greater depth on PM Express. So you want to join us on television, on the Joy News channel at 9 p.m. We'll speak to everybody who we can to try and get some answers. We will need to pin down exactly when this problem will be resolved and when every part of this country will get supplies. MFI, as a parent, do you listen?
Seriously, sometimes we are not angry enough as a country, as a people. These are things we should be concerned about. Really, what kind of reasons are we being given for this? To the extent that children are being given birth to and they are not getting these shots. These are not shots I can go and get from the pharmacy shop.
Dr. Naba made the
No.
point. So you can't even go to a private hospital to get it. We'll try and get some answers. The Ghana Health Service has indicated we're hoping that they will get some fresh supplies within 2 weeks. But the problem, as we found from the Adabraka polyclinics, that the entire year, so January now, February is ended for 2 months.
No shots.
It's been out of stock. George,
and even some would say that knowing the
6 childhood killer diseases, but growing up we had songs all about these 6 childhood killer diseases, and just when we are eliminating it, then we don't have vaccines.
And for knowing the supply chain problems that come from COVID, you don't want to even wait to even have even 2 containers or whatever of this thing before you even try to make requests for us, because you know the supply chain concerns. So you always want to make sure that requests are placed far ahead, so that when these things takes more time to get them, by the time that your supplies are out of stocks, you know you can have the other one coming into this.
NHI just confirmed to us they released the money, and the Ghana Health Service explains to the committees because of the procedure. But my point is, if you have 72 million CDs, buy what you could with that money.
But this is a GOG. I mean, obviously these things can be done on credit. I stand to be educated. I'm just saying that. But I'm just saying that there are problems with supply chain across the world, and you don't want to wait for even to have just 1% of your product left before you place request, because it might take longer time than the usual time it takes to get these supplies in.
We'll try and get some more answers as far as this is concerned, at 9 p.m. It's on the Joy News channel and across our many social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook. George, what do you have in the headlines?
Well, Evans, coming up, President Akufo-Addo reaffirms optimism of hitting the March ending target for securing the IMF board approval for Ghana's program, despite delays in closing a deal with some of the country's external creditors. And MTN proposes a final dividend of 12 pesos for shareholders as the company targets to pay about 70% of its 2.8 billion Ghana cedis profits declared for last year. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Allianz Life and Ghana Pay.
Hey, see the plenty money you are carrying this early morning.
Charlie, you levy asemu.
You levy do what? As for you, you wait and listen to all the information before you start carrying money up and down like we are in 1995. The e-levy there, it has come. But you know MTN will always find a way to sort you out.
Sort me out, Sese.
Oh, so you don't know that when you transfer money between your personal accounts, cash in and cash out at agent points, buy airtime or data, pay bills, receive remittance from abroad, or even pay taxes, there are no e-levy charges?
Hey, we are sure.
Listen, there are a number of transactions you can perform with your MTN Momo that are not affected by the e-levy tax. And there's even more, Remember, your first 100 Ghana cedi transfer for the day is free too.
Hey, na minimo.
Now, dear, you know.
There are a number of transactions you can perform with your MTN Momo that are not affected by the e-levy tax. So keep enjoying the security and convenience with MTN Momo and make payments on the go with MTN Momo.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key, but there's one key that rules them all. The house key, the key to a place we call home, the key to the home where everything comes together, the key to a home that is our own, a home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, President Akufo-Addo says he remains firmly optimistic of hitting the March ending target for securing an IMF board approval for Ghana's program. Now, this is despite recent delays in closing a deal with some of the country's external creditors on the debt exchange program. Speaking at an event with some diplomats, the president noted that they are also making some progress with the Chinese on Ghana's debt restructuring.
Just as we managed to achieve a staff-level agreement with the fund in record time in December last year, whose terms we are systematically fulfilling, including the difficult, ultimately highly successful process of the domestic debt exchange program, I'm confident that with the cooperation we are receiving from members of the Paris Club and the People's Republic of China, which has sent a delegation from China's Exim Bank to Accra over the weekend to meet with officials of the Ministry of Finance, we shall be able to go to the board of the fund to conclude finally the agreement by the end of March. This will set the stage for the strong recovery of Ghana's economy.
President Akufo-Addo. Now, more oil marketing firms are dropping prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Shell, earlier this morning, announced that it is selling a litre of petrol and diesel at 13 Ghana cedis 90 pesos. It is coming after market leader Guel dropped the price of petrol by almost 5% per litre. It also reducing diesel by more than 1 Ghana cedi per litre. Star Oil is also selling a litre of petrol at 13 Ghana cedis 19 pesos, while diesel is going for 13 Ghana cedis 49 pesos. The review is coming at a time when the National Petroleum Authority is projecting some significant reduction in prices of petroleum products for this month because of the Gold for Oil program. However, some industry players are insisting that the reduction has nothing to do with the Gold for Oil program. To other stories, and shareholders of MTN Ghana record some significant increase in the final dividend that they will be paid for last year. This was captured in the telecoms giant 2022 financials released to the investing public. There is more in this report.
MTN in its statement is proposing a final dividend of 12 pesos for each shareholder. This will represent 70% of the 2.8 billion Ghana cedis of its profits posted for last year. This should mean that for 2022, shareholders will be enjoying total dividend of 16 pesos. According to MTN, the necessary payment will be done by June 22 this year. MTN in its financial statements, however, maintained that, subject to regulatory approvals, it is looking at the option where shareholders choose between cash or shared dividend as an alternative. MTN mobile money business brought in almost 2 billion Ghana cedis. However, this was not enough because its contribution to the group's revenue for 2022 declined. The company is linking it to the negative impact of e-levy on its operation for last year. It also pegged the number of mobile subscribers ending December last year at 12.7 million, representing more than 15% increase over that of 2021. Data also brought in some almost 4 billion Ghana cedis as revenue, representing about 40% jump over what it got in 2021. On the recent tax issues with the Ghana Revenue Authority, MTN noted that it wants to assure its shareholders and other stakeholders that it is a responsible business committed to transparency and good governance. MTN in its financial statement also stated that it has made significant progress when it comes to the SIM card re-registration, adding that more than 5.4 million subscribers that were disconnected, 1.5 million subscribers have been reconnected.
That is a Business Desk report. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries is making a strong case for the proposed tax on beverages, fruit juices, and more drinks to be targeted at imported products. Now, government is currently pushing Parliament to approve new set of taxes on these products to help deal with the revenue shortfalls as well as consumption of these fizzy drinks. But as part of our Ghana Month series, the chief executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Sechuma Kabwa, maintains that there's a reason why they want local industries to be protected.
Proposed introduction on this extra duty on the carbonated drinks and the spirits and all that. We think that at this crucial moment where we want to really support local industry, if there should be any such, it should go to the imported products, but not the local producers, because you want to encourage local production. Nobody stops you from introducing new tax, but you have to work out the implications, the ramifications of introducing such taxes. So we strongly have a problem with the new introduction. We are showing statistics. We are bringing statistics to see the different tax regimes in other countries that are competing with us and how probably it could be properly structured.
And that is Sechuma Kabwa. He is chief executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, making a strong case on how local industries should be protected, and it will be part of our Ghana Man series stories, bringing you some insights in the business community and what should be done for local firms. In its bid to regulate credit extension and close the gender financing gap, the Bank of Ghana has implemented a new online reporting and analytics solution tool. The online platform requires financial institutions regulated by the Bank of Ghana to provide information on financial returns on gender basis. Now, speaking at an affirmative action for Women in Africa Financial Series, Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Elsie Adawaji, disclosed that this is more of a move that will help in policy formulation for the sector.
We are fully committed to promoting inclusive finance and gender inclusive finance more particularly as a catalyst to promoting inclusive macroeconomic growth. The Bank of Ghana has implemented a new online reporting and analytics supervisory tool by which all of our regulated financial institutions submit their prudential returns to us on a sex disaggregated basis. All of those reports every month would now tell us on a sex disaggregated basis how much of this have gone to women-owned businesses. We believe that this is key because data is often the missing piece in our discussions and in our policy formulation and implementation efforts.
Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Adawaji, and even there are more oil marketing firms that are dropping their prices at the pumps, and that if this trend should continue, what that will mean for the cost of some items on the market. For instance, that is Petrosol is also selling today 13 Ghana cedis, 49 pesos for super. That is petrol and diesel is going for 13 Ghana cedis, 57 pesos. You also understand that Total Energies is also dropping or has dropped its prices at the pumps as well, selling at 13 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos for diesel, and also 13 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos for petrol as well. To the stock market, if you're a shareholder in EcoBank Ghana Limited, you lost 58 pesos to close at 5 Ghana cedis, 40 pesos for each share held. Farmwork also lost 20 pesos and is now worth 1 Ghana cedi, 87 pesos. And even that's all for business on news. Now we'll be looking up to the PM Express tonight.
Yes.
Very interesting discussion.
And I'm looking for George, by the way, to also telling us later the information you have on the Exim Bank officials who have been here negotiating with the Finance Ministry. You need to dig into that and get more on that. Right. George, thank you very much. You're still live here on News Night. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Guess who is joining us early? Because we have something cooking for you. Is Ms. Bao. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, just about the youth resource centers, because in 2018, the government commenced the construction of 10 multi-purpose youth resource centers that were left to be completed in 9 months. 5 years on, the project have been abandoned and left to rot. My colleague Fentio Tahiru has the special report focusing on the Azuma Nelson Youth Resource Center.
This is the Azuma Nelson Sports Youth Resource Center, named after legendary Ghanaian boxer Azuma Nelson. The facility was supposed to serve as a multi-purpose sports center fit enough to accommodate more than 40 different sporting disciplines when completed. Also known as the Kanishi Sports Complex, the facility was built during the era of the Supreme Military Council and the General Achampong in the 1970s. It served as a training base for teams during AFCON 1978, which Ghana hosted and won. Since then, however, years of neglect had placed on the back burner the plans of the people running sports in the country. Various governments had made promises to upgrade the facility to its stature as a functioning multi-purpose sports center, but none had made good on their promises. But in March 2018, then Sports Minister Isaac Esiama finally commissioned renovation works to start on the facility.
We are securing the future of Ghana sports through this investment. And I can tell you, in the next 20 years, Ghanaians will remember one person called President Akufo-Addo for the huge investment he made in sports. This huge one. Across the country, we are going to do all these things. By November, you will see 10 multi-purpose youth centers. That can take off about 5,000 people, sitting capacity 5,000. So we can even play some of the national matches. Understand? Yes, big matches. Black Queens can come and play maybe in Wa, because we're going to do one in Wa. They can go to Navrongo, go do one in Navrongo. They can go to Nehini, go do one in Nehini. So it's going to be across the country, spread across the country, so that everywhere you go, you have quality, modern sporting facility.
That was former Sports Minister Isaac Asiama in March 2018. It was supposed to be the dawn of a new era for sports infrastructure in the country. When completed, it was supposed to seat up to 5,000 people with a swimming pool and all kinds of adjoining facilities, including a running track to go with. And it was supposed to cost some $4 million and just 9 months to complete.
Each contractor has 9 months to complete the project. If we factor in the rainy season, it depends on the intensity of rain. It could go up to 11 or 12 months, not more.
But nearly 5 years later, this is the state of the project. In December of 2021, the new Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf stated that the project was 90% complete.
If we are going to be able to identify talent in the various regions or our various communities, we can't do that without these facilities being completed. So government is committed, especially when we have already invested so much in these facilities. We can't abandon. And it's the same government. Government is continuous. And so the assurance can be getting from me. What I've realized that it was in phases. So we have phase 1, phase 2. So currently, I've engaged the consultant working on it and also the National Youth Authority, which is the agency that supervises those projects. So I can give you assurance that yes, those facilities will be completed on time, so that the identification of talent in the various regions where we have this facility, we can use those as a center. Even as one Nation Sports Complex, Carnation Sports Complex can also even be used during the games.
Of course.
People can go there and compete, especially on football. It's media standard. So it's something that we are working on and to ensure that we get it done. Some of them were 90%, 70%, and 80%. There are various stages of completion.
And he wasn't wrong, because at the time, the stands were done. The pitch was done. It was looking green and lush. But barely a year later, this is the state of it. Abandoned and left to become a breeding ground for all kinds of reptiles. The Azuma Nelson Sports Complex is not befitting of the legend it's named after. In its current state, only animals can play sport here. At the time of abandonment, the project was indeed close to completion, with the VIP stand constructed and roofed, the 4 stands constructed and the seats fixed. The drainage system had also been done, and the groundwork had been prepared for the Titan tracks to be laid. All of that, however, has now been left to rot.
So that's Tahiri Fentio with our report on the Azuma Nelson Youth and Resource Center. And Fentio joins us in the studio here. Fentio, I mean, it's quite heartbreaking watching the video, which will also air tonight at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel. I mean, tell me the extent of the damage there, because clearly that's damage to abandon a project like that. That's wastefulness.
It is a lot of money spent, almost about $3 million from my last conversation with the contractor. And the work had actually progressed steadily. It was almost done. And that's the saddest part of this entire episode. The fact that the project was at 90% completion, as confirmed by the minister himself. And at that point, the last time the contractor was there was October 2020. They had raised a certificate for 650,000 Ghana cedis for work done. And that's perhaps how much more that was required to finish the project. That certificate wasn't paid. So the contractor obviously abandoned work and now will need at least 4 times that money in order to finish the project. And clearly there is some financial loss to the state there, because all of the work that was done until that point is now degenerated into something that's a complete eyesore, basically.
It's a zone for reptiles, like you described.
Yeah, it is home to not just reptiles. It's I was there and I didn't quite feel safe accessing the place.
Yeah, I saw the videos and it was shocking.
Yeah, it is a big shock.
There's a part of the shot where the bush,
it was almost my height,
seemed to swallow you up.
That is right.
You seem to disappear in the mist, and so this is not a forest.
It is not. It is not. And that is actually the football pitch.
Okay, I see.
Which was, as at 2020 October, was green and fit for football matches.
And you could
so we had actually
you
made
could disappear on the football pitch whilst you're standing in the middle of it. And I couldn't,
yes.
I couldn't see. I could hear your voice.
You couldn't
but
see
you
me.
were missing because the bushes are just covered you up.
And what is even more disappointing is, Fend, the fact that this facility is named after a legend in Ghana, Azuma Nelson, and
who
to
has
leave
said,
it to
who has said in the
rot
past
in that
that
manner.
the project isn't befitting of his name. And you see, the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex, let's be honest, a bit of history is required. That facility has always been one of those bespoke projects. And it was put up by General Champon in the 1970s. It was a place where middle-class people went. It was the original youth resource center in Ghana. It had a basketball court, a functional one. It had a hockey pitch. The football pitch was used for several purposes. In fact, in 1978, it was one of the camping bases for national teams for the AFCON, which we hosted and won. As recently as 2007, when the Accra Sports Stadium was being renovated for AFCON 2008, Hearts of Oak and Accra Great Olympics actually used that facility to play league matches. So it has been functional before. And the attempt to now uplift it into a much greater, a much better facility has now resulted in degenerating it into becoming one of the worst sites you would ever see of any sporting facility.
Is it a funding challenge? You say it's not because there's
we have to talk about where the money is coming from. So unlike many projects in this country where you can say maybe a certain loan isn't forthcoming, the funding for the 10 youth resource centers is from the Common Fund. The NYA has a 5% allocation, guaranteed money every year. That payment comes in from the Common Fund. The sports minister at the time, Isaac Esiama, was the one who decided that they were getting a lot of regular money from the Common Fund. And the Youth Authority obviously is under the Ministry of Youth and Sport. So he came up with the idea that they could use part of that money to put up these facilities across the country. And so they used part of that money, pay some of the contractors. So work actually began across all of the youth resource centers. They just have been abandoned for the last 3 years, and that is the unfortunate part. And I tell you what, the amount and the number of people that have been affected by this project, it's massive, Evans. More than 50 schools host sporting competitions in that facility. Yeah. Growing up, you must have heard about the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex.
That's what we do.
Even in 2005,
yes.
A whole international boxing bout was held there. Ikote fought Isaac McNeil of the USA in that facility. And the facility hosts the offices of the CEO of the National Youth Authority, Mr. Pius Hajide. Right behind his office is where the sporting complex is. So the bushes that you see in that camera shot, all of that abandonment, all of that rot is right behind the NYA CEO's office.
What next, though? Because there's...
So we're running a series, basically. So there's 10 of them across the country. Right now, obviously, we're still assessing the impact. We're trying to force the
So next week we have another episode?
Yes, next week we have another episode from Koforidia. The Koforidia Youth Resource Center is what's next. After that, Nyinahini, and then you have one from Yendi. And every single facility, the story is the same. Except Ho, which will host the Independence Day celebration. As a result, the work there has progressed understandably quite steadily.
Yeah, well, the Minister for Sport himself, he's been answering questions in Parliament, and he indicates that the facility will be completed before end of this year.
I'm happy to inform this August House that the second phase of the project selected, Azim, that's Dunkwa Ofen, Wa, Domahinkro, Kofodria, are near completion, with all the necessary fitting and auxiliary work progressing steadily. For this year 2023, the youth center in Ho, that's Adakulu, Yendi, and Nyinahini, Kaneshie, and Navrongo are earmarked for completion. I wish to assure this August House that the contractors will soon move to the project site, and the project will be completed by close of this year.
So that's the sports minister, Evans. At this point, we just need to go to the Achia Mountains and then
for the country. So we'll leave you in the safe hands of Kojo Yankson as part of our Ghana Man series. After that, we have Strong and Sassy with Enimwa Enim Ado. The woman behind the woman of valor is our guest. You want to stay? I am MF Apau.
My name is Evan Spencer.